This podcast has been brought to you by Voyager's World. We are building the most amazing hospitality network. Please visit our website, join us for free, and start participating.
With my friend Andrew. Andrew, how do you say your last name?
Matuzkov.
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 Matuzkov. All
yeah,
right.
There you go.
Andrew Matuzkov.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Voyager's World. And
thanks. It's a pleasure to be invited.
Yes. I invited you because you have some very good stories. I would like our viewers and our listeners to know more about you and to know more about what you did. So please start from the beginning. Where did the traveling thing begins with you, and what do you have in mind when you're doing it?
Well, I think it's when I was at school. I mean, in the junior school. I was what you call it, a clever-ass, you know. I was always reading, and I was the best student in the class and so on, you know. So I was a quiet child.
In America, we say a nerd.
A nerd, okay, yeah. I'm still a nerd, though. So basically, instead of going out and do the boys things, you know, like fighting and whatever. I was reading books. I was enjoying Lego and stuff like that, you know. So quiet games. And then I got the computer when I was 10, I think. I got my first computer, and that was the world for me, basically. I've had a lot of friends, but those friends were pretty much like I was. So when I came to Kiev to study in the university, I realized that I have not traveled a lot, and I have not spent too much time outside. And I got acquainted with Andrew, and he took me to different hikings and forest camps, you know, and basically it's because of him that I knew how to put up a tent and put up a fireplace and cook the camping food and stuff like that, you know. And well, that was my very first and very little experience, but I accumulated it, and by the age of 22, I managed to raise enough money for my first motorcycle.
How did you do that?
I was working at a pretty much small payment job. So I didn't have too much possibility to save a lot of money, but I had a what you can call a side contract. A friend of mine gave me 1,000 printed pages of calibrating air flight instruments, like autopilots and gyros and whatever. So, and I had to translate it from Russian to English because a company here in Ukraine was selling 20 planes to Saudi Arabia, I think, or somewhere there. So I had to translate it in English, and I was paid $1 for each page. It was a pain in the ass, but well, that's how I raised my first $1,000, you know, and managed to buy this old Soviet Dnieper motorcycle.
I remember one day we went to this bar where it's at a motorcycle factory.
Yeah,
right?
The water pub.
Yeah, are those bikes any good? Do you see them on the road?
Well, of course you see them on the road because I mean that factory produced so much of that shit, that I think they will be on the road for another 100 years.
Are they the Ladas of the motorcycles?
Yeah, or even worse. Because the Ladas of the motorcycles are the modern Urals, which are also imported to USA. I think Brad Pitt has an Ural with a sidecar.
Yeah?
Yeah, but so the Ladas of the motorcycles are Urals, and these Ukrainian motorcycles, I would call them the Moskvich. It's an old Soviet car that was, as most of the Soviet things, it was copied from an American car, I think, but it was very badly copied. It was the Chinese copy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, to get the Dnieper on the road, if you're not a mechanic with the we say in Russian golden hands, to get a Dnieper on the road, you have to spend like a week in the garage, then ride it for one day, and then you have to spend another week in the garage. One time on my Dnieper, I was going to a biker festival 150 kilometers away from Kiev, and it took me 12 hours to make that distance. 12 fucking hours. I went out of the garage at about 12 a.m. and got there by midnight. So,
oh, you mean 12 p.m.
Yeah, 12 p.m. Sorry, yeah.
Right. So you got your first bike, and were you working at the business that you're working today?
No. At that time, I was working as a content manager plus like operator in an internet shop selling computer equipment and cell phones and that kind of stuff.
And translating
aircraft
technical documentation.
That's another thing. That's a funny story, by the way. I was so tired of typing, especially that I'm not that good at applying typing, and I love the modern technologies. I enjoy them, and by the way, I'm going to buy the newest Oculus Rift. I think you've heard of it. So the moment it appears in Ukraine, I will buy that thing. So I love the modern technologies, and by that time, Microsoft has published its speech-to-text technology. So I got a very cheap headset, and I was reading basically while translating. I was reading in Russian and narrating it in English. But, of course, the technology was not perfect. And that technology didn't know the word voltmeter. So, basically, I had to add this word. But it couldn't recognize the word voltmeter because when I was saying voltmeter, it was like typing something very, very different. So, basically, I had to narrate a Russian swear word. And when I said it, the system typed voltmeter in Word. So,
well, it solved the problem.
Yeah.
Cursing usually solves the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially here.
So, all right. So you got the bike, and you were working on this thing. What was next?
Actually, the next thing was that I got acquainted with a lot of people on the biker festivals, and I went to a lot of them on my Dnieper. And next thing you know, I got on this Moto Kiev UA website, which is like a community for all motorcycles in Ukraine, motorcyclists. And I posted a topic in the looking for job thing, and I said like, okay, I'm this and that, and I know this and that, and what I want is a stable job with a little bit, at least a little bit higher salary. And one more thing, two more things that I typed were that I don't want no dress code in the company because I freaking hate it. And the second thing was I want that there would be motorcyclists in the company.
Uh-huh.
And I got like 6 propositions, starting from a motorcycle workshop. And I said, like, come on, my hands are literally sticking out of my ass, you know. I can't do a thing about motorcycles. And the guy said, you have a NIPA. It means you can work on motorcycles.
It was a nice way of saying, if you have such a crappy motorcycle, you have to be good.
You managed to get at least somewhere on it. Yeah. And the best propositions were like the company that I still work for. It's been like 7.5 years now that I've been working for the same company. Mm-hmm. And I said, like, yeah, why not? I can try. I mean, I've got my university degree in IT, so why not try it, you know? Mm-hmm. And here I am.
Cool.
And I started to make more and more and more money, and the company made me the delivery manager, and that got me a raise, and then another raise, and well.
And now you are the millionaire that you were.
No, I'm not a millionaire, but at least I've got the possibility to do the thing I want, you know. Uh-huh. Maybe I would love to, of course, to travel for like a year in a row, or maybe like what we discussed, like 18 months, you know, and stuff like that, but we gotta be more pragmatic, you know.
Yeah, and yeah, you have done some very interesting trips, and we'll put some pieces of the video here in this podcast. But tell us about that, please. Norway first, right?
No, the first trip I made. How I got to adventure riding, as we call it. Mm-hmm. One time I went to Sweden for a business trip, mm-hmm. and at that time I was looking for a new motorcycle for me because I didn't know what I want, and I tried the travel enduro bikes, and I really loved them. So I thought, like, yeah, I gotta buy one. And I was looking at something like an old Africa Twin or Super Tannery 750. Because it was about like $4,000-$5,000, so it was affordable. But then I went to this Sweden trip and made a little bit money there. It was for 2 weeks, and we get daily payments there. Uh-huh. So, raised a little bit money there, and then I managed to sell my Suzuki DRZ. And I understood that I have a little bit more than what the Africa Twin costs. Mm-hmm. And I started looking at more newer bikes. And this is how I came upon the BMW F800 GS, mm-hmm. which I still have. And I love the motorcycle by its view and by its characteristics, but everything. I love everything in the motorcycles. Mm-hmm. So I bought it without even trying to ride it. Oh. Yeah, and this is how I got the adventure bike. And the first trip, the first long trip, was to Alpine Mountains and to Venezia. Uh-huh. Venice. Sorry. Venice. Yeah, Venice. The trip came out of nowhere, actually.
Did you do that alone?
No, it was 3 of us doing it. So the trip itself came out of nowhere because me and a friend of mine were just thinking, like, yeah, we should go to some kind of a huge music festival, like heavy metal, rock and roll thing. And it was impossible to get to Wacken, so we decided to go to, what was its name? Novarock in Austria, near Vienna. Okay. So, and we were like, yeah, let's go there. It's a nice setup of bands. It was Metallica and Slayer and Nightwish and a couple more pretty cool bands that we love.
And in fact, just one note about Vienna. Vienna has a reputation of being a boring city because of all the opera and classic music and all that stuff. But actually, I have been to Vienna for several times. Mm. And Vienna is an incredible place. It's so exciting. And they have so many shows and concerts and a major underground of techno and raves, and they do heavy metal, and there is a punk scene. It's a city with an incredible variety and a very interesting nightlife that apparently nobody talks about in the tourist guides. But once you know people there, once you know people that can show you, the really interesting places, Vienna is an incredibly exciting place. I'm happy that
it's also a great place to just go sightseeing, just like that.
Yeah.
We decided that we should go to that show, and then because we were riding off-road, we thought it would be great to get to Erzberg Rodeo. It's a huge off-road competition, enduro competition, I mean. And we thought it would be great to get there. And then it's Erzberg, okay, the Alpine mountains are not far. We should go there. And then it's Venice, it's also not far. It's 300 kilometers. Let's go there too.
On the other side.
So basically, I opened Google Maps and I just put the points where we should go. And then we thought it would be also great. In a week after Erzberg, there is Red Bull Romaniacs in Romania. So we should go there too, especially that a friend of ours was going to take part in that competition. So we should go there too. And this is how the route appeared and was born.
So you improvise.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty.
You planned the first half or so to Vienna, and after that it was improvisation.
Pretty much, yes. Most of my trips are okay, I put a point somewhere on the map and I say I want to get there, but I want to get there the most interesting way I can find.
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially I want to see different places, visit different concerts or whatever,
Sometimes I use a method that I learned from a friend in California, that he keeps the GPS off and just rides and gets lost. Sometimes he ends up in the backyard of some farmer, but sometimes he finds amazing stuff. And by the time that he gets the feeling that, all right, it has been long enough, then he turns the GPS on and finds his way back home or his way back to his next destination. So imagine traveling, spending half of the day going in a direction that is apparently the right way, but guiding yourself by the sun and the stars or whatever. And then you turn the GPS off and the GPS on, and you figure out that you're actually way off course, but then you end up getting to your destination. So this next trip that I'm planning, I'm not planning more than 200 miles each day, which is a relatively short distance for a day on a motorcycle. But I want to do that way. I want to leave and basically try to guess the correct direction. And then and then after lunch somewhere, then turn the GPS and just follow.
The funny thing with GPS is that even if you keep it on, it can still end you up in the backyard of a farm.
Yes, it happens sometimes.
Same with me. I was fighting with the GPS devices so hard that most of the time I'm just going by the road signs, and I know I gotta get somewhere near this and that city, and I'm just following the signs.
Yeah. So who went with you on that trip?
Two friends of mine we were friends because we were off-roading together, at some point. And we went to that route. I was in one of the most beautiful places in Europe. It's Passo dello Stelvio. It's a wonderful mountain road that gets up 3,000 meters or something. So it's
Stelvio Pass is not just beautiful on its own, but when you finish, no matter which way you are going, you are still in the Alps.
Yep.
So you're still surrounded by other amazing roads and amazing destinations. Everything within just a few hours away. So and that's the beauty of playing with the Alps, is that you can keep crossing, and by the end of the day, you are always in an incredible location.
Yeah, and the coolest thing was the road to the Stelvio Pass. It was a valley road to Lienz, I think that's the name of the city in Austria. And that road had so many motorcyclists on it. I mean, it was unbelievable. If you are used to like waving to motorcyclists, then that road you should ride like this.
Yeah. I like to tell my passenger, your job is to wave.
Yeah.
You do the waving, I ride.
That road was beautiful, and the Stelvio Pass was beautiful, and we finished the pass when it was getting dark, so we had to stop somewhere, and we wanted to put up our tents, but everything was closed. All the campings were closed, and everywhere you could see a sign like warning private territory and stuff like that.
Do you do wild camping sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes, of course.
Yeah. I do that often, like in...
I don't do that often because usually, at that trip, one of the guys, I mean, you gotta understand that one of the guys was big. He was 140 kilograms. Mm-hmm. The other guy had a box of like different creams and like stuff for skin and so on. So they wanted comfort.
So you're riding with a fat guy and a cosmetologist.
Yeah. I don't want to like...
I'm not being politically correct, I understand.
Yeah, the guys wanted comfort, and I mean, I didn't... I wasn't against that, because when you're riding like 3 of you, then if you get like a room in a hotel for like 60 euros, which is a pretty average price for
the Alps, yeah.
Yeah, for the Alps, then you pay 20 euros, and yeah. I mean that's nothing, you know.
It's not bad.
Especially that if you put up a tent, you still have to pay.
Not if you do wild.
Yeah, not if you do wild, but I mean in a camping.
Yes.
You still have to pay for putting up a tent, for the shower, for whatever. Everything is.
Yeah, very often in America, I would stop at places and at campgrounds and check their prices. And of course, they had a lot of facilities and laundry, and they had cable TV and Wi-Fi and all that. But it was nearly the same price of staying in a motel.
Yeah.
And with the inconvenience of being outside. So it would be like paying for the motel, but camping in the parking lot. It would be the same.
Yeah.
So I never liked the idea, and because I had to do it so much, I really like what is called. I say wild camping, but they like to call it primitive camping.
Yeah, but in the US, I think it's a little bit easier than in Europe, because in Europe, first of all, in Europe there is a lot of gypsies and immigrants, just waves of them, you know, and I mean.
Yeah, but they are usually not riding motorcycles.
Yeah, but I mean, if you stop somewhere by the road, you can get in trouble.
First, I look for generally a place that is nice to camp. An area where there are hills and there are forests and flat areas. But then I look for a place for the motorcycle. So I find like a little country road that gets out of the main road or something like that. And usually when you get into one of those roads, you can get the bike like behind the bushes somewhere. Yeah, and I have a green tarp. The moment that I cover that bike with the green tarp, it becomes invisible. By the end of the afternoon, you can't see it. And then I put the backpack on and start looking for a place to camp, which usually I'll find just a few 100 meters away. Never have to go too far. Yeah. But I make the bike invisible first, and then I make myself invisible. So nobody ever found me.
Yeah,
I would never camp right beside the road. Because then I feel insecure.
In most of European countries, when we got there, we were asking if it's allowed to put up a tent in the wild. And in most countries in Europe, it is prohibited.
By the way, for the purpose of this podcast, everything I'm talking about is just hypothetical. We are not really doing it. Okay. All right. So everything here is fiction. We don't really do. So every time, yeah, in America, almost everywhere is private property. So to me, the secret is if you're going to camp wild, you have to be not seen. Nobody can see you. If nobody can see you, nobody can bother you. And in general, if you are in the countryside, nobody is looking for you either. You know, so nobody cares. You know what? My greatest concern in America was not being private property, which almost all the time it is. My concern was when I was in federal land, when I camped, which also it's all hypothetical. It never happened. Okay. When I was camping in federal land, and if a ranger sees you, potentially the legal consequences can be much worse. You know, if he decides if he has a hair up his ass and he decides to book you, then you are in big trouble. So I always made sure that I was never found. Never had a problem. So I'm very for that, but I have a lot of experience doing it. When I'm writing, now because I did it so many times, I see places that I estimate, okay, right behind that hill is a good place. Right around those trees is another one. You know, right around, that is this river going this way. So I think if I camp on that side, I can take a bath on the river. You know, so that would be very cool. And another thing I love to do, and I like to tell this on the podcast because it inspires people to do the same, is I will, like around 4 or 5, when I go to a village, I stop at a bakery. And in most of Europe, even at bakeries, you can get a bottle of wine. Or sometimes just next door you can get, Americans find that funny. But yeah, wine is everywhere. So I get a bottle of wine and a loaf of bread and some sausages or you know, some salami or whatever is good to put on the bread. And that's dinner. That's going to be dinner. And I have the things to make coffee, make sure that I get enough water. And I go in camp. I have all I need for a nice dinner. And I make a fire, make a nice dinner. And then in the morning, I make a coffee and hit the road again.
This is a thing to do when you are riding alone. I mean, camping in the wild. Yeah. This is a great thing to do.
Or if your passenger also likes to camp. Yeah. Which was the case in 2014. I was riding with a girl that she really liked it. So we didn't have a problem with it. But I probably wouldn't take a passenger that doesn't like it.
Yeah, and but my point is that it's very hard to get like 3 motorcycles invisible, especially if you've got a red super sport with, you know.
Yeah, but if you are in a group, the idea of sharing a hotel room sounds very reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
sounds very good.
At some points we were just we had two tents with us. So putting up 2 tents plus 3 people plus 3 motorcycles plus 3 times taking a shower was even more expensive than getting a hotel room. So it was like never a doubt.
Yes. I also camped in the desert, especially in the Mojave Desert. They have this, they call it campsites. It's just a few marked spaces just outside of the road. It's desert everywhere, you know. So the difference between the campsite and the non-campsite is the same. It's all sand and rock and cactus, you know, and it doesn't look any different. But because it's a federal park, either you make sure that you're invisible or you make sure that you stay in one of those spaces. And it happened to me that I was there and I was putting my tent and then another biker show up. Hey, can we share the space? Of course, show up, no? put your tent here, you know, and then I remember one day a guy showed up and he said, hey man, here's $10. It was like $20 for each space. And he offered me $10, and so we end up sharing. Because you have to pay, you have to put an envelope somewhere with the money. It works like that. And for motorcycles, in some places, like once in Bay Honda, at sunset, they close the park. So they lower the gate. But there is enough space that you go around with a motorcycle. You know, again, everything that I'm saying is just hypothetical. It never happened. So you go around and you get in and you camp right on the beach, and you leave early before the ranger shows up. They never see you. So yeah, I love. As you can see, I have a strong bias towards wild parking. But I understand that there are alternatives. So you guys did that trip.
Well, yeah. So we went on that trip, and it was great. The Stelvio Pass, the Venice. Well, I didn't like Venice too much.
No, I love it.
Come on, it's the water smells, and it's of green color, and you freaking get lost everywhere because everything is the same.
That's why I love it. I love getting lost.
GPS doesn't work, so I mean. We wanted to spend like 2 hours in Venice. We had to spend 5 because we got freaking lost.
That's the best part, man.
Yeah, I mean,
getting lost there.
I totally enjoyed it, but I didn't like it. I enjoyed being there, but I didn't like the city as it is. So, and then we went to Hungary and then Romania, and we went to see the Red Bull Romaniacs, and it was great. And after Sibiu, we went to see the Bran Castle, which is considered to be the home castle of Dracula.
Oh yeah. So and did you go to Transfagarasen after
no,
that?
No, we didn't go to Transfagarash, but we didn't know of its existence at that moment.
You didn't?
Yeah, that's why we didn't go.
You know, you crossed it.
Yeah, I know.
You crossed it to get to the castle.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't cross
to get to the if you're coming from the south.
Last year in 2015, I've been to Bran Castle, and we still didn't hit Transfagarash for one single reason. We didn't go there because it was so misty that we wouldn't see a thing of the valley. So I decided to leave that road for better times.
Yeah, it is. It is a road that is actually only really open for 2 months a year.
Yep.
For motorcycles because it's too cold, too foggy. Of course, there are some badasses that will do it anyway, but very few. In my motorcycle, I wouldn't try it.
It's not a thing of doing this curvy road. No, it's the thing that you want to go there to see the valley, to see the beauty of the mountains, and just going there to put up a check mark that been there, done there, you know.
And if in a mountain pass, if it is too foggy, it's like driving through a tunnel.
Yeah,
you just don't see anything.
When you watch this video from Greece that I made, it starts with Romania, and it starts with a foggy road, very foggy. The visibility was like 5 to 10 meters. So you couldn't see anything further than that, and you see just like a milky fog, and then there are car lights next to you appearing out of the fog. I mean, it was so
it's horrible.
thick. So and we went to Romania. We saw the Red Bull Romaniacs, and on our way to Bran Castle, I crashed. I had a serious crash at a speed of about 120 kilometers per hour. I went off the road into the field, and I managed to ride on that speed through the field for another like 100 meters or something, and then I hit sorry, my bad English, a fucking mole hill. You know when moles, they dig the ground and they get up, and they got these little sand hills, and I hit it with my front wheel, and I got off the bike. I crashed the speedometer, the rack that was holding it, and the windshield, and the lights, right? I crashed down with my shoulder, but because I was in Boriyama, I only had my collarbone cracked a little bit. I couldn't continue riding though, but
it hurts already, even if you just
yeah. I mean, I understood that I broke my collarbone when I was trying to lift up the bike, and I put my hands on the bike. I start lifting, and one hand is working, the other one is like hanging. You know. And I'm like, fuck. So yeah, I got to the hospital, and they patched me up. And that friend of ours who was participating in Red Bull Romania, he had his bus with him. So his bus came and picked up my bike and got it to Ukraine. And I went to Ukraine by the train. So that was my first long trip experience.
Cool.
Yeah. Next year we decided with that big guy, we decided that we want to make a longer run. And I was looking through Google Maps, you know, and I found a city in Spain called Huelva, and there was a lighthouse on an artificial, I don't know what's the word, this thing made of concrete, you know, that gets into the sea. So it was like
a pier, like a pier.
Yeah, like an artificial concrete 5-kilometer pier that went all the way into the Atlantic Ocean.
5 k's.
Yeah.
In the ocean.
Into the ocean, and there was a lighthouse on the end of it. And I found out that you can get there by car, so which means you can get there by motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going there. So this is how our next trip was being planned. Then I found out that there would be a great music festival with Iron Maiden, Motorhead, In Flames, and those kinds of bands in France. And I said, okay, we're going there. And then this festival was not far from Netherlands. So I said, like, we gotta get to Amsterdam.
Yes.
Yeah. And so these were like the points, you know, and then when we were almost ready to make the trip, I got an invitation for a business trip to Sweden. For 2 days, I had to be in Sweden. And I said, like, could I get the money for the air flight, like, in cash?
Instead of ticket.
And I will take my motorcycle, and the people at the company said, of course you can. So I got a little bit extra money. So my trip, instead of starting through Poland, it started through Poland, but then I had to go to Latvia, to Ventspils, and I went to Sweden for 2 days, and then we were like, yeah, we gotta get to Trollstigen in Norway. It's not far. I mean, like, what, 1,000 kilometers? It's like nothing. We gotta get there.
I love when guys say, "Oh, it's not far. It's just 1,000 kilometers."
That's like that. So we never got to Trollstigen because we basically didn't know where it was. We couldn't find, because I mean, if you Google Trollstigen on maps, it will show you some very different places. So we got to Geiranger Fjord, which is one of the most beautiful fjords in Norway. And then we went to Bergen, where a friend of mine lived at that time. He moved to Norway. And we managed to do the longest car tunnel in the world, a tunnel which is 25 kilometers long. Wow. And we got to Oslo, and then we went to Denmark, to Amsterdam. Not Amsterdam, sorry, Copenhagen, then Odense, and through Germany towards Amsterdam.
Talking about tunnels, I went through a tunnel that goes from somewhere in Switzerland to Aosta, Italy. And at that time, it felt like it was so long, like it took such a long time to go through. And this week I was looking Wikipedia, and that tunnel is 3.5 miles. it's not that much at all. There are some tunnels right there in the Alps that are 12 miles.
Yeah. And this one
and
was
this one you
25
say
kilometers.
25K. That's like 15 miles.
Yeah,
Yeah, 15, 16 miles.
Yeah. But that tunnel was divided into four parts by artificial caves, which were lighted up with different colors to basically to get the drivers like excited and not wanting to sleep. Because if you're a truck driver and you're going through that tunnel, that's boring.
It's
I mean,
monotonous, yeah.
we were going like 120 in the tunnle. You know, if you're a truck driver going 80, I mean, that'll take you like what, 20 minutes, maybe more than that.
Yeah, yes. So Norway was very interesting. You went with Vita, right?
No.
No. I thought.
Vita joined us in Paris.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, we went. We were on a schedule at that trip, so we had to be in places.
By the way, not everybody that is watching knows us, so please tell who Vita is.
Vita is my girlfriend.
Okay.
We've been together for like 3 years, I think. And she loves traveling. She loves traveling on the motorcycle, and she loves my BMW. She says this is the most comfortable bike ever. So.
Yeah, I understand because she never rode on the Valkyrie yet, so she may have that impression.
Yeah, right. When you go to Georgia, to that mountain village on your Valkyrie, we'll talk. So we were on a schedule because we had to pick up Vita in Paris, and we had to hit this music festival before that, and we wanted to get to Amsterdam before that. So we were kind of on a schedule. So. I didn't like Paris, by the way.
No?
It's, I don't know, I didn't feel it, you know. Yeah. It's an okay city. I mean, I loved Copenhagen.
I haven't been there.
I loved Amsterdam. I didn't like Paris, and I didn't like Rome. But that'll be further on. Okay, so we went to Paris, and then I said, like, yeah, let's get to the ocean, to at least to this bay. What's the name of it? I don't remember. The one that the shores of France and Spain. Anyhow, so we got to the shoreline, and we went to Spain. We went to. What's the name of the city? Yeah,
Alzheimer's. That's the name.
Yeah, right. So we went to Spain, and we were going through the shoreline, and we got to this little city called Vigo, and there we had our first motorcycle thing going on. I mean, the chain on one of the BMW, on the second BMW that was with me, one of the links got stretched. So the chain was about to break. So we had to change the chain, and everyone was like, yeah, we can do this, but you know, we've got a siesta going on, so from 12 to 4 we are not working, and to change your chain you have to sign up for the workshop, and we can do that in like 3 days. He said like, what? So we had to buy the chain and basically install it with the tools we had, and I mean, I'm literally with a rock and a screwdriver, you know. So it was not a trivial task.
Yeah, the quality or speed of service varies a lot. I have been to places that they stopped everything they were doing to take care of my bike and get me back on the road. While I have been to some other places in which they say, yeah, come back Monday, we'll put you on the line.
Yeah.
I said,
you probably noticed that I can speak of my trips forever, and I love speaking. Nevertheless, putting it short, in 4 years I've made 75,000 kilometers on my BMW, and by this time I've been pretty much in every part of Europe. I've been to the most western, northern, southern, and eastern points of Europe by now. And you can, if you are interested in that, I've got a couple videos of my trips, and you can watch them on my YouTube channel. I would call it a channel. It's just a storage for them, but you can watch them and please enjoy.
Yeah, I'll put the URL right here and invite people to see it. I especially like the video about your trip to Georgia, Istanbul, Greece. The videos on that one are fantastic, and I like it. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, man.
So yeah, we had to change the chain. And then we went to Faro in Portugal, where a friend of ours lived. And then we got to this Huelva city with this lighthouse and everything. I mean, it was nothing.
Is it in Spain? Or
yeah, it's in Spain, but very close to Portugal.
Okay.
It's nothing.
North?
No, south.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nothing too like great or something. Like Nordkapp, you know, when you get to Nordkapp, you are like, well, okay, I'm here. Well, there's nothing there, but it's a point of destination, you know. It's like the furthest point where you wanted to get. So basically, the point of the trip was like, yeah, let's follow the shoreline all the way down, you know. And we, after Faro, we went to Barcelona, where Vita had to take a flight back home, because she only got, the reason why Vita only joined us in Paris and went home from Barcelona was because she only got a 2 weeks visa. So I couldn't like take her the whole trip, because the trip was like 4 weeks or something.
Okay.
And
no, all right. Finished. That stuff.
And then we went to, of course, we wanted to get to Monaco. You know, we've seen all these pictures and stuff, and Nice and Cannes.
Cannes.
Okay. So, and we got there, and it was like meh.
I had the same impression. I went through Monaco, Nice, and Cannes 3 times already. The first time because I was really curious, and the reaction was, okay.
Yeah.
And the other 2 times because it was on the way to where I was going, to where I'm going to. So, all right. But the second time, I discovered a road because they have the main road, the super fast. Yeah, they have the super fast road, and you can go along the shore, you know, along the beach and all that. Along the beach takes hours.
Yeah, I know.
The highway, on the highway, you see a great view, but you cannot stop. They don't have any stops. But I discovered this other road that goes like in between, where it's not so slow. It goes right around Cannes. It's not too slow, but it has several points where they put, you know, like viewing points, and it has parking lots, so you can stop and just relax and look at it for a while. That road is awesome. So each time, the first time I did along the shore, second time along the highway, the third time through this other road.
Yeah, we went along the shore, but to get to Monaco, you have to go down from the mountains to the sea line, because the highway that we took was up in the mountains, and then you have to go down.
Yes.
But the road goes up and down all the time there.
Yeah.
So one of the first things we saw in Monaco was a freaking silver Ferrari that went out of the turn, and the road was going up, and the guy pushed the pedal to the metal, and the gas started leaking out of his exhaust pipe because it could not eat that amount of gas. So it was like, you know, he was like spilling money on the road. Another thing that we laughed a lot was in Monaco, a guy was selling his boat, and there were two Rolls-Royce Phantoms parked near the boat. So the one who buys the boat can choose one. One was white and another one was black. So the buyer can choose a Rolls-Royce as a gift. So, I mean, it is so. I don't know. It is so fake to some extent.
I think it's very pretentious. I love
pretentious. That's
in America we have an expression that we say someone starts showing off too much. We say, that's a showboat. You know, those are those shiny boats that are there just to show off. They are not real. You know, in the sense that you are not going to live on them or really cruise on them or really behave like a human on them. It's a show-off situation. So,
a funny thing was
Monaco is full of it.
On one of the boats there was a woman and probably her child. And I mean, the boat was huge, and there were like two jets parked. Or what's a jet, right?
Jet skis.
Not skis, like the jet. Yeah, never mind. The jet water thing.
Yeah, jet ski.
The ski is a ski.
No, we call it jet ski.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That is Chris over there.
So yeah, and you know, a huge boat with which costs a lot of money, and the boredom in the eyes of that woman, you know, who had to freaking be on the boat and like just sit there and do nothing.
And she cannot go shopping.
Yeah, because I mean, the boredom in her eyes is something I will never forget.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to like diminish the thing of having a lot of money or stuff, but
I'm not against having money. I just think that most people that with money or without, they are miserable anyway.
Yeah.
Getting the money doesn't make them less miserable. I have a good example. I was in Miami. I was in Miami many times, but one day I was actually waiting for the bus, and because I don't have a car every time that I go to Miami, and I was waiting for the bus, and this guy comes in a Maserati. It's a car that I recognize because I like it, and he was driving this beautiful Maserati, and you could see that he had, like, his face was red, and he was yelling. But I mean, the car was closed. It has a good soundproof system, so you don't hear him, but you could tell that he was yelling. And there was this pretty girl beside him, and she was taking out the yelling, and she was crying, and he looked completely mad. She looked completely upset, and at that time I felt so sorry for her. I felt sorry for him, and I felt sorry for the Maserati. Definitely. So it's very possible to be unhappy regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a thing I basically made my motto in life. Oh, hello, cat.
That's Simon.
Yeah.
Simon, come over.
So money are made for not wasting the for
to spend
them, right? That's the word. Money are made to spend them, and to spend them not on things but on emotions. That's the thing. You gotta spend money on
experiences.
And experiences. Yeah. This is what basically drives you. So yeah,
well, let me. I think it's a good time to tell how we met. I was at Tarasov Agora in 2000. Which year is now? 2000. Yeah, in 2015, I went to Tarasov Agora, and towards the end, I was not riding my motorcycle because it broke, but I was there, and everybody was offering me beer. So at some point, I was probably tipsy already, and it was getting close to tipsy.
Yes, you were wearing a kilt,
and I was wearing a kilt, and at some time I was walking by the bar, and this guy starts talking to me, and I notice, okay, he's a biker, he's drunk, there are two girls sitting there with him, and he seems to be friendly, you know. So you start talking to me, and you offer, oh, come to visit us in my place, and you know, and you were very cool. And about a month or more later, I found you online.
No, actually, I found you on Facebook.
Or you found me, and I end up visiting you several times in your place, and you have been incredibly generous and friendly to me and to my friends. And I went to several parties, and your friends were also super cool. I remember one day we were watching Mad Max 3D, and at the end I had some gum that I left on my, I don't remember now, but I remember that I went to the kitchen to look for the gum, and I couldn't find it. And one of your friends, he found me and said, hey, you know, take some of this, and he gave me a can with some candy. And he had the symbol of Ukraine on the top and all that. And it was another reminder of how everybody that I have met here has been really cool. No matter if they could speak English or not, no matter if I could pretend to speak Russian or not, it was always very, very nice. And I think that what inspired me to ask you to be on the podcast is not just the fact that you travel and you make it happen, and you didn't do that by having been born rich. You just made it happen. You go step by step, and you save money, and you do it, and you plan, and you work. You know, so it's not. There is nothing too unusual or abnormal about you. You just take elegant decisions, and you plan and do it. But the friendliness and the generosity that I felt with you and with your friends has been a good example of how things happen in Ukraine. I believe that there are cool people everywhere, but in Ukraine the percentages are a little higher than usual. People here treat me better, in my opinion, than pretty much anywhere.
That's because your micro society, or what you can call it, consists of well, I wouldn't say like better people. No, that would be too like fascist or something.
I don't think it's better people, but I think it's better thinking.
Yeah, but of what I should say of thinking people, of people who think, you know, who use their brains.
Yeah.
And that's why they have been so friendly, because they know that, well, you know, this is the only way to live a full life. But there is also a lot of, well, not so good people here.
No, I know, but to me, one good example is MotoHelp. MotoHelp is a great network of volunteers that they are helping bikers when they have their accidents.
Not
or
only
their
bikers,
troubles.
but also bicyclists.
Yes, and MotoHelp. I was talking to one of the managers or organizers or whatever they call it, and he said that one day we realized that if you have an accident, the police may show up, but they may take a while. The ambulance may show up, but it may take a while. If you call a pizza, it arrives faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so he said the services that the government provides are very primitive, and it's not going to change anytime soon, because even if we fight corruption and we get everything better, it will still take time to catch up with everything we need to do. So we know that we are not going to have a lot of help. So all we have is each other. All we have is our network. And I think that is very clear and good thinking. Understanding that all you have is each other. And here when you're riding, the bikers help you more. You know, they are more attentive, they stop and they ask if you need help. People here are more connected. And I think that they are more connected because they see that all they have is each other now.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that. I hope that things get better. But I hope also that as they get better, that you don't change. That you still focus on helping. You don't make it a totally commercial thing, you know, that the country doesn't go in the same direction that the West went, in which everything became so commercial and people are more disconnected. You know, so I like this characteristic. I like your country very much. And I feel at home here so much that I'll be back. Or as I would say, I'll be back.
And you're welcome.
So, yeah, I will definitely do that. But that's the reason that you know that I wanted to have you with us. Is that you know people should see the parties that you have. You know, it's just in a way they are simple. It's just a bunch of friends. They bring some drinks, make a fire outside if there is a chance, you know, and cook some food and all that.
Yeah.
But the attitude at which it's done, it's really clean, friendly, nice, and I hope to find more of it.
And this is one of the reasons why I'm trying to be so friendly and open, is because on my travels I've met, and I love to travel in the West, you know. I've met a lot of foreigners that, you know, that treated me nice. Though I'm from Ukraine, a country that basically not that many people knew about till latest.
Until recently,
yeah, until recently. And, you know, they could treat me like an alien, you know, but no, they treated me nice, and that's why I try to repay it by treating the foreigners nice here. And not only foreigners, I mean, I wouldn't have many friends if I wasn't.
If you were not nice to them,
yeah.
Exactly.
But the thing with the foreigners, you know, I feel that I can help people that come here, you know, to some extent. By explaining the way of thinking of people here, or by just translating or whatever. So if I can help, I'm glad to help. You know, the thing I get from it is my own satisfaction, another person's satisfaction, and thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, it works well. Thank you so much for that. And on that note, I want to close and again mention that Ukraine has been very special to me. I spent 9 months already. I'll be a year here before I leave, and it has been an amazing experience to me. Thanks to you, to your friends, you know, to a lot of Ukrainians that they got out of their way sometimes to help me. Many times here I had people help me fix the motorcycle or do improvements to it, and they didn't take any money.
Yeah, like installing that kind of beer on your oil filter.
Yes. No, but one example is my friend Oleg here. He has a shop, a metal shop, and they built this box to put under the bike, and it's an amazing job. It's a nice toolbox that goes under the swing arm, and you know it took them like 2 days building it and welding and painting and you know doing everything exactly the way I wanted. And at the end I asked, so how much is it? You know, and they said, no, this is a gift from the people of Ukraine to you. You know, and they say that with a sincerity and a you know in a simple and sincere way that makes you love people for that. You know, when they share their space, when they share their life with you. And also another thing, that day that we met, something very interesting happened. There were a bunch of people. They were outside of the same bar, but on the other side. And I came up and they got some beer, and I was just sitting there near the bar watching the bikes and people going by. And they came up and they talked to me and they brought me a beer. And they start talking, you know, and being super friendly and all that. And only then I told them, that I don't speak Russian very well. And then they asked me where I'm from. And to me, the greatest realization was that they were being nice to me before they knew that I was not Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Even before. So that's the way they are spontaneously.
This is how it happens here, you just, not only on bike festivals, but on different, you just can come to, but being invited to a party and, everyone will be talking to you. Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for that. On that note, I want to finish. Thank you so much to Andrew for being with us. And you be on Voyager's World now. Thank you for helping us promote that and being a friend in general. All right, guys. See you soon.
Yeah, take care.
We hope you like this podcast as much as we like to produce it. This has been made possible by the efforts of dozens of volunteers, supporters, partners, and visionaries that are helping us build Voyager's World. Please visit our website, join us for free, and start participating.